Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed by me. My name is Rabiatul, and first and foremost, can you introduce yourself and a little bit of your education or teaching background?
Okay, my name is Norazila, Madam Norazila, and I've been teaching. I'm a teacher at, should I tell my school name? Is that
Uh,
okay?
yes, don't worry, I
Oh,
will censor the interview juga.
okay. I'm a teacher at Escalohandra now, and I've been teaching English for 10 years approximately.
Oh,
Um,
incredible.
yeah.
Anything else you would like to add on?
um, Nothing else, maybe? Not for now.
All right, I see. So, for the first
Yeah.
question, can you
Okay.
tell us the challenges you face when teaching English to primary school students?
Okay, primary school student. Okay. Since I'm teaching in a rural area, so I think one of the main challenges the wide range of abilities among my students, because some of them they can quickly catch up English subject, but while the others they like still struggling even with basic reading and writing in English. And I believe that family background also plays a big role. Some students receive support and exposure in English at home, while others may not. And also, in my school, particularly in my school, I have to admit that my school has limited resources such as city projector, smart board. So I often have to rely on my own creativity and then low technology methods to deliver effective lessons.
I see.
Mm.
Talking about using your own creativity. So,
Yeah.
expanding on that, what strategies have you used in order to support your students who are struggling to learn English?
Okay, so on my in my own, okay, I use differentiation in my teaching because we don't do what we call it streaming class. So in my class we have different ability students. So usually I group students based on their levels, and I have to design activities that match their capabilities. Okay, I also incorporate a lot of kinesthetic and visual learning strategies, and such as the using of songs, and sometimes flashcard and language game, and especially for struggling students to help them to catch up English and to help them to build interest in learning English. And then on top of that, I also provide extra support through one-on-one guidance or small group sessions whenever possible.
I, s- I see. Thank you for that. Okay,
Yeah.
moving on to the third question. In your
Okay.
opinion, what are the issues or factors that hinder children from acquiring or learning the English language?
Okay, I believe several factors can hinder English language acquisition. Okay, these include lack of exposure to the language outside of school and minimal support from home. And then some students may have low confidence or fear making mistakes, so they avoid to use English because they're afraid of mistakes. And then also limited vocabulary. Okay, in some cases, students come from homes where English is not spoken at all, so they have no background in English. So in school is the only opportunity to learn. And then additionally, like I mentioned before, limited school resources can also restrict access to engaging learning materials.
So, you've touched about students' motivation as well. So, let's talk about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. As we know, extrinsic is more like rewards, for example,
Yeah.
trophies or medals, while intrinsic is more about their motivation to or interest to learn the language. So, how do you use this to keep the students engaged and wanting to learn the English language?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm afraid I have problem with this what we call this wire. Okay, for extrinsic motivation, and I often use rewards like stickers, points, or small prizes for effort and improvement, and because I believe this helps to encourage participation, especially among younger students. And then for intrinsic motivation, I try to make learning meaningful and fun. For an example, maybe I ask my students to create their own mini books or perform short role plays, which I believe this one gives them a sense of ownership and enjoyment. And also, of course, I didn't forget to praise their effort and progress consistently to help them build confidence and internal drive.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I remember you mentioned about lack of resources and funds, and there's no, for example, there's still lack of things at your school, for example, LCD, but the education system is still trying to integrate technology into the classroom, right? But so, how
Lovely.
do you keep up with the advancement nowadays, especially when dealing with students' need in language learning?
Okay, thank you for the question. Although my school lacks modern equipment, as for myself, I try to stay updated. For an example, by attending online courses. Okay, because we are actually as a teacher, we also have what we call it in Malay we call it macam mata kredit wajib, what we call it, I forgot the English word. So we have to attend online courses, webinar, and also using free digital resources. Okay, and um for me, I also bring my own devices when possible, such as tablet or laptop, because to show my students videos or interactive content. Okay, because I believe that technology, even in a simplest forms, can enhance language learning, especially through multimedia and gamified learning platform.
Nice. Thank you, thank you. So, moving on with the last question, because for the sixth question, you already answered with the fifth question. Okay.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so last question. So, what advice would you give to other teachers who are struggling in helping students learn English?
Okay, so uh, I might not really what we call it many experiences. I only teaching English for 10 years, but for me to teach English, we have to be patient and flexible, as we all know that English is not our main language. So every students learned at their own pace, because I see some of my students, they might not good in English during their primary school, but when they go to higher education, secondary higher education, I see that they all really improve their English, especially when I see their posts in social media. They use fully English, advanced English. So that's what I said. So I believe that they learn at their own pace. So, and also don't be discouraged if progress is slow, especially ones that making um, progress. Especially when you see the progress is slow. Okay, you can use a variety of teaching methods, fun and interactive, and then most importantly, let's build a strong rapport with your students. When they feel safe and supported, they're more willing to try and take risks in using language. And lastly, I also try to collaborate with my other colleagues, my other teacher friends, for ideas and support. And we also have what we call it PLC. PLC, what is what PLC learning? It's like you have to discuss with your friends group, and then so for ideas and support. So when you do a discussion, it's actually can make a big difference.
Thank you so much. It was a very insightful answers from you. Again, thank you so much for participating in my interview for my final project. And that is all
All
from us.
right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So bye.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. This is my interviewee for my final project. First and foremost, can you briefly introduce yourself and tell us how many years have you been teaching?
Better speak in Malay because for past 2 years I'm not teaching in BI. I'm teaching in Malay, so saya akan bercakap dalam bahasa Melayu lah. Kan? Boleh? Ya, yes, oke. Oke. Saya Jumaidi Gani. Sudah pun mempunyai pengalaman mengajar selama 30 tahun dan 3 years, 3 years to go and pension lah. Dan sebagai saya sebenarnya tidak ada option yang nyata because kalau di maktab saya option bahasa Melayu, tapi bila sampai di sekolah saya ditukarkan kepada option science. Kemudian saya ditukarkan course saya melalui conversion untuk BI. Jadi untuk BI saya sudah mengajar selama lebih kurang 15 tahun. Tapi memandangkan saya memegang jabatan sebagai penolong kanan HM di sekolah dan masa saya dikurangkan dan saya tidak lagi mengajar bahasa Inggris, cuma saya mengajar sejarah, saya kontrolize sejarah dan sains tahap 2. Itu pengalaman saya lah. Dan
Terima kasih untuk itu. Untuk soalan pertama, bolehkah Puan
itu sahajalah tentang pengalaman saya.
bagi tahu apa cabaran yang Puan hadapi bila mengajar bahasa Inggris?
Cabaran sebenarnya banyak. Kalau kita bercakap dengan cabaran ketika mengajar terlalu banyak. Oke, itu pertamanya dari saya sendiri bahwa saya sendiri cabarannya ialah menggunakan teknologi. Untuk makluman bahwa orang-orang yang lahir sebaya dengan saya memang tidak ada kemahiran teknologi. Sedangkan sekarang ini semua menggunakan teknologi. Maksudnya semua di ujung jari. Jadi itu sebenarnya cabaran bagi saya terutama menggunakan peralatan-peralatan yang canggih seperti komputer dan sebagainya. Itu cabaran dari diri saya sendiri lah. Kemudian dari segi situasi, pembelajaran murid tidak sama sebenarnya banding dengan bandar dan dengan kampung. Bandar dia lebih banyak pendedahan berbanding dengan pekan. Tapi kampung berbanding dengan pekan lebih baik daripada kampung lah. Sebab kampung ini dia bergantung kepada adanya fasiliti seperti elektrik ataupun solar. Kemana-mana yang tidak ada fasiliti seperti itu, memang pembelajaran dia hanya betul-betul satu menggunakan buku teks, yang kedua daripada guru itu sahaja yang ada. Kemudian satu lagi ialah cabaran ini ialah ini daripada infrastruktur lah. Contohnya jalan raya, karena kebanyakan sekolah-sekolah yang jauh daripada pekan yang prasarana dia kurang dan langsung ada yang tidak ada. Dia punya pembelajaran memang banyak kali orang kata tidak terlaksana. Jadi itulah antara cabaran-cabaran yang pernah saya hadapi lah sehingga kini.
Oke, terima kasih. Untuk soalan kedua, apakah strategi yang Puan gunakan untuk membantu murid yang menghadapi kesukaran untuk belajar bahasa Inggris nih? Seperti yang kita tahu, pelajar nih memang terutamanya di kawasan kampung seperti yang Puan cakap memang kurang pendedahan kepada bahasa Inggris ini dan mereka hanya dapat belajar bahasa ini bila dorang masuk sekolah.
Oke, terima kasih atas soalan. Untuk strategi ini sebenarnya itu bergantung pada kreativiti guru itu sendirilah. Bagaimana dia handle, bagaimana dia melaksanakan satu-satu pengajaran pembelajaran di mana serba kekurangan. Bagi saya antara strategi yang saya gunakan ialah pertama sekali saya akan menggunakan pendekatan yang heart to heart. Itu saya akan panggil murid itu, satu persatu dan saya akan bantu mereka di mana yang silap, apa yang perlu. Itu saya rasa antara strategi yang amat berkesan bagi saya lah dan murid-murid. Sebab sebenarnya bila kita berhadapan dengan murid secara bersemuka berdepan, banyak yang kita boleh selain daripada kita membantu untuk dia membetulkan apa yang dia salah. Samping itu juga kita boleh motivate murid-murid itu. You need to learn more about this English, why and why. Begitu. Yang kedua strategi ialah more on game. Simple game but very interesting. For example, ada lagu-lagu. Contohlah kita dapat sana yang apa lagu dia? I have a big apple. Contohlah. Jadi bila kita buat game yang seperti itu, murid akan happy. Murid akan happy secara tidak langsung akan membuat mereka lebih menyukai. Kemudian antara strategi yang saya buat juga masih lagi game, tapi contohlah saya akan buat satu simple competition such as cursive writing, beautiful writing. Jadi kira-kira dia level 1 atau level 2, memang dia orang suka yang begitu. Itu banyak. Jadi kesan dia untuk makluman lah, kalau kita betul-betul buat strategi, kita buat dan kita ikut apa yang sudah kita buat insya Allah. Because untuk makluman semasa ada UPSR saya pegang 2 subjek, sains dan BI. Alhamdulillah sekolah kurang murid 4 tahun berturut-turut top daerah Ranau keputusan dia. Untuk subjek saya BI dan sains. Jadi ya itulah strategi. Yang satu lagi yang saya ini yang baru-baru sejak dari PKP untuk mata pelajaran baru juga untuk BI sebelum ini saya membuat satu macam yang masa PKP kita buat PBL. Jadi PBL ini saya serahkan 100% kepada budak itu, how they make their work, how they create dia punya apa saja. Yang penting sampai kepada apa yang saya minta. Okay, for example, for the sejarah kita ada 10 topik. Jadi 1 minggu 1 kali memang very difficult untuk kita kecap itu dia punya topik lah. Tapi apa yang saya buat ialah saya buat satu pertandingan PBL. Okay, sebagai satu tempo 1 bulan. Okay, for the topic 1 to 3, topic 1 until 3. Dan selepas itu saya akan buat satu pertandingan. Okay, PBL yang paling cantik, paling kreatif akan dapat ini. Sehinggalah pada hari anugerah, hari apresiasi, kita akan adakan kita akan pilih 3 PBL terbaik. Jadi ini sedikit sebanyak bukan saja anak-anak murid yang terdorong, tetapi ibu bapak juga terdorong untuk membantu anak-anak mereka menyiapkan PBL, sehingga kan ada yang datang menjumpa, bolehkah kami buat begini, bolehkah saya bantu anak saya begini? Oh boleh, macam mana saja. Contohnya menghasilkan PBL paling kreatif. Apa benda yang dia boleh pakai? Apa saja. Termasuklah daun kita boleh guna sana. Begitu. Jadi so far setakat ini kita belum nampak untuk PBL sejarah, mata pelajaran baru, kita belum nampak sangatlah sama seperti sains, cuma baru-baru ini kita ada menghantar murid untuk pesta STEM di sekolah pekan, dan hasil dia agak memberangsangkan juga lah. Oke, itu saja.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. I will be taking over since my video is corrupted. Some of the contents are lost. So for question 3, my interviewee has said there are 2 factors that is hindering children from learning the English language, which is the first one, students themselves are not really interested in learning the English language. When they are not interested, they don't really care if they get good grades or bad grades. And the second one is parents themselves. She did state that after using her strategy, then parents start being involved, but before this, parents are really uninvolved with their children's life and mostly push the responsibilities to the teachers to educate them and so on. This poses a challenge actually, because when parents are uninvolved and the students aren't interested in English, students don't really care if they get good or bad grades, because they know that their parents won't scold them for it. They won't face the consequences, and that is why it was one of the major issues that she faced before, especially in teaching English towards her students. So for the fourth question, which is how she incorporate intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. For intrinsic, she mostly uses the, again, heart-to-heart method. She prefers to talk directly to her students. She wants to know what their problems, she wants to know some things that bothering them, some things that they want to tell her, but maybe they're very ashamed or they're very shy or very guilty to talk to her about it. And for extrinsic, like I've said before, she uses rewards. For example, when she incorporates her strategy, the PBL one, the most student who with the most pretty PBL will get a reward. This one will be the reason why students are engaged in her class, because they want to receive that reward. And for the fifth question, which is how since the education system is trying to integrate technology into the classroom, how is she keeping up? She did say that as an older generation of teachers, she has been teaching for almost 30 years. She find it hard to learn the technology, but in order to solve this, she tried to reach out to her younger colleagues and learn from them. And she also tries to watch a few YouTube videos explaining how to use certain websites that for students. For the last question, which is the question of what advice would she give to other teachers? She states that as teachers, she acknowledged that this profession is very hard because teaching someone, a young person, is not easy. We will face a lot of obstacles in the way, but they must know that as a teacher, they have to have patience. They have to have understanding. And with that, they can go long. Without patience and understanding, they wouldn't be a good teacher and they wouldn't go far with only teaching students like from A to Z without giving any passion, without being passionate about what they teach about. And that is all from my interviewee. Thank you.